Alright, so this is just a touch base on the exterior overall. Truck does have some dings, dents around it. Nothing crazy, but definitely there. So the back, we'll get into the truck bed on a different portion here, but you do have like this creased line on that back portion there. Some good orange peel here. Just little chips along the bottom portions here. See like little dings. It's kind of hard with the camera sometimes. Do you see how the line moves? It's a ding. And then the front bumpers just been chipped up. We get so much gravel and stuff from the snow around here, so if you follow anybody, that's pretty much what happens. The lights are in honestly good shape. You do see some like internal cracking, but they're in good shape. They're not like hazed out or yellowing or anything. More scratches on there. This is the mirror I was saying, got a pretty good lick there. Another scuff here, but it's not beat up. Chipping here. So that would probably be the plastics a little beat up. So just this lower section, I would just like treat it or line it, however you like to do it. If this is gonna be like an outdoor rig, that's what happens. So on the top, no damage. Alright, we're going through the engine bay. They did do a detail on this with like that silicone stuff, so it's kind of just like a layer of greasy stuff all over everything. Fluids are all really good, nice and clean. With this many mileage and that color on the brake fluid, that's amazing. I love seeing that. That is not normal. Like, it is the most commonly neglected fluid out here. Constantly I see these dark green, super black, just nasty. So that's good to see someone cared about this. Newer battery. One thing I did point out, the car's running right now, but this belt, it's completely brown. It's starting to show age. Basically they start to haze and get hard, and over time that just starts producing the cracks, which leads to failure. So something to keep in mind. Pretty dry engine all the way around, but like I said, they did clean it really well. You can kind of see a little grime in here, so stuff like that. But I got no real gripes on this engine bay. Starts right up, plenty of get up and go. We always try to touch here. So this is going to be your crash bar, and this is going to be your frame. Always like to make sure all that looks good. Good sign here. That's your impact sensor, right? So those bolts don't look like they've ever been messed with. Both sides, which is awesome. If this is wrecked, those will usually pop the switch inside, and then you got to replace them. So that's how you can tell sometimes. Frame on this side has a little more stuff attached to it, but it's still in pretty good shape. We'll get more to that when we get the undercarriage. I always look here, stuff like this, you know, make sure these bolts haven't been messed with. Hood bolts, these are all still right where they've always been. All these bolts are still normal, so it's good. Alright, so I always start here. I like to go from the front to the back, just shows there's nothing hanging down or sagging. You see that little bit of grime here? I'll show you here in just a moment where that's coming from. But overall, not too bad. There is a pretty good amount of surface rust. We'll get in closer here as we go around. We are in the driver front left. So you see the boots. CV's got some grease coming out of there. The steering rack, you can see residue on the boots, like all around there, that chunky stuff. And then you see on the shaft in the shop how it's peeling. These are Bilsteins, but they're not supposed to do that. So usually when the paint's doing that, underneath is not so hot. And you can see your sway bar doing the same thing here. So just keep an eye on this stuff. We're gonna keep moving along here. Alright, so this is gonna be your cats and everything. Transmission. No heat shield on the other one, heat shield on this one. So one of them I think has been replaced at some point. That's what that tells me. You can see here, right? So like this angle, you can see they have the undercoating on the frame and everything. Then when you go like this, they didn't do the bottom or the inside. So pretty good flaking going on here. Kind of see it all the way back. This is the end of the cab where the frame kind of arches and your leaf spring perches. I always look up in here. You can see how much flaking's up in there. Nothing soft you're able to poke into, but definitely needs to be treated the right way. All right, we're looking at the rear now. So you do have a spare. Not sure how well that wheel is looking. They did spray the diff and everything. Frame looks okay, but just a lot of surface rust up in here. See where they sprayed the tire? So it just wasn't treated the proper way. There's a way to blast all the rust off before you put this coating on. Back on the passenger here, leaf spring purge, muffler, driveline. So again, just a lot of flaking off surface rust. It's only going to get worse. Covering it up doesn't stop the rust, it just contains it to fester. That's what I like to say. The body, not bad, but frame's starting to get there. Inflate. So, if you're familiar with undercoating, you definitely want to invest in it. It's a low mile Tacoma and it's not too far yet, but some work there. Okay, on the interior part here, so nothing on this side. You have your radio controls and everything. Cruise is down here. All looks good. No wear or any kind of scuffing or anything. You got a little bit of like a dirty mark on the back here, like someone's thumb, but beyond that looks good. Current mileage is 114,586. Really good mileage for this year on these Toyotas. People drove them a lot. Currently brake lights on because I have the brake on. We are on an incline here. Radio and everything works really well. Heat, air conditioning all works. The modes all cycle correctly as you want. And then 4 high, 4 low. No locker on this model. But it's still really good. This is where your locker stuff would be. You have the clutch, so you can like push this if it's in neutral and it'll let you start without pushing the clutch in. This is for an inverter in your truck bed, like a plug-in in there. Auto window on the driver one only. Everything else works as intended. We're gonna pause here and then I'm gonna go looking from the outside in. Alright, so one thing I noticed, this door opens really far, like almost straight out for like passengers, but it really limits your space here. Carpets underneath are really well. It does have black floor mats. I'm not sure if that's what Toyota normally does, but that's what they have in here. Pedals are in good shape. I did see this one had like, there's like some side to side play here, so that kind of bothered me when I was pushing that in. And then we do have a little bit of wear right here, just a nick. Some light stains, really nothing to worry about. It's just kind of like these lighter colors. You can kind of see them more on camera than in person, I would say. But if you got a really good detail guy, they probably get those out, but usually the lot's just got some young guy that cleans these up real good. Door cards are all in really good shape. We're gonna hop over to the other side. All right, on the passenger here, so this seat actually comes out like that, and I believe these will fold flat down in. You have your tools and stuff down in here, so not like tucked somewhere and get rusty. And then manual seats both sides. This is a 6-speed. Glove box. Damper's not connected. It is missing, so that kind of just falls open there. They do have your sold sign in there. That's cool. Door card's in good shape. Alright, so trunk, rear hatch, truck bed. Depends on the vehicle, right? Tailgate's not dampered, so that does just fall. Plastics are in really good shape. This is the only like bulge I see, but plastics are in really good shape. Here's that power inverter, and then you still have your secure straps and everything. This is in really good shape. No real damage. There's a couple scuff marks, but no real damage. Everything's complete. Drains work. You can see where all the sediment and stuff, but the water's gone, so that's nice. Shuts really easily. Opens just the same. It's like one of those shorty beds, but in good shape, really good shape. All right, so we're going to go through the scan portion of the vehicle. Sun's fighting me a little bit. I'm trying to fight the glare, so we'll move it to where we need to be. Right here is your VIN. We always start there. Make sure this VIN matches the one on the vehicle, especially with this being from Canada. We want to make sure import was right. Going through the codes, we did have some codes here. We did have in the tire pressure monitor, There's 3 current codes. The key fob's not working, so that's like 2 of the codes, and then the other one was for engine or vehicle speed not correct or something like that. I wrote that in there for you, and I gave you the numbers with the drive and a little bit of clutch slipping. I imagine that's related. So everything else checked out really good. That's what we like to see. So not a lot of modules on these older cars, but enough to tell you if there's something going on that you don't see. I'm gonna stop here, and then we're gonna go through our monitors. All right, so this is gonna be our monitors. The sun is like moving with the clouds, so the camera's constantly trying to focus here. Let's see if I can just pull this down here. Okay, so green checks, that's what we want to see. We do about a 10-mile drive just to make sure that typically within 10 miles, if you're gonna get a code or something, that's when it will happen. So everything checking out good here in green, that's what we want to see. Usually the gray circles just means it's a monitor that's not applied to the system. So looking good here. All right, so I'm just gonna go through our conclusions. This basically, I like to make the vehicle look alive at this point, so it's gonna just be like a pose. Few things. We have some pretty good frame rust. It's not as bad as some of I've seen. There's been some where I can literally grab it and my thumb will squish into it. So it's pretty solid. Definitely heavy flaking, heavy surface rust. It's starting to affect the suspension components up in the front here. I showed that in a different portion of the video really well. The clutch, another huge concern. Third gear under hard throttle, like getting on the freeway or getting up on the highway here, 041. You can hear the RPMs go up, and then it'll bog a little bit, and then you can watch the speed. So like it's not catching up. It did that to me in 6th gear. I was going about 50, and I floored it to get up to 70 when I was on the freeway from the construction zone, and it kind of did that same thing. Once it started getting hotter, that happened less. So I don't know if it's just like a ton of scale on the clutch from sitting. That I just don't believe that. So definitely something to look at. The clutch engagement is pretty high up, so definitely worth talking about. Right rear tire has a nail that is non-repairable. If you take it to a shop, they will not touch it. It's too far to the edge. I've had to tell my fair share of people on great tires that they cannot be done, so that's a hard one. Tires are pretty much, they're from 2021, but they're still measuring out 12s and 13s, which is really, really good. That's basically maxing out my scale. Overall paint conditions really well. Front is got some rock chips and everything on it. You can just touch that bumper up and, you know, get a good buff and cut on this and make a world of difference. Overall, truck drives really well. Like no weird sounds on bumps or anything like that. Stops really good, doesn't pull or anything like that. So that's really good. Low miles on this for me. If this is something you're adamant on Tacomas, this would be a great platform to start at. 114,000 is nothing for these trucks. I know the frame's a little daunting, but if you get it, you know, dry ice blasted or something like that, and then undercoat it, it can make a world of difference for this truck. It's just not the cheapest thing. So something to keep in mind. That's going to be your inspection. A couple things to take note.